Man, it's time to talk about the real video game movie of 2016. No, not Warcraft. We're talking, of course, about Angry Birds.
Angry Birds the movie. Seems like Hollywood will,
Make anything?
make anything that involves money.
God. I saw Ratchet and Clank. I kind of wanted to review it, but it was such a disappointment that it wasn't worth talking about, really, because it was unanimously agreed pretty much that the movie wasn't good.
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to make a Sly Cooper movie too, which will probably
I don't think that'll happen.
probably get canceled or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like what can they do from like an iPhone game where all you do is like slingshot birds into green pigs?
You know, I really don't know. You know what's weird though?
What?
I have like a weird good feeling about this movie.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Well, that's because you're not paying for the ticket because you bought The Darkness, so you get to, if it's bad, you get to relish in the fact that, oh, I got in for free, so.
Yeah, but even you were still pissed about The Darkness, and you didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
Imagine how I felt.
Peter Dinklage is in this movie because he'll be in anything.
Yeah, he was in Pixels even. I mean,
Like, yeah. He's like as lacking of standard as Rob Schneider. Like, Rob Schneider will be in anything. Like, I bet you Peter Dinklage would put on blackface to be like an Angry Bird. Because he has no standard.
yeah, at least he does Game of Thrones. So.
Okay, I don't really like Game of Thrones.
I don't either.
Who else is in this movie?
Jason Sudeikis, I think.
Oh yeah, he's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think he was in a really funny movie called Horrible Bosses,
Yeah.
which I liked. And
I gotta say, from the trailers though, like the one trailer I saw from sitting in the theater, because I'm not gonna look up a trailer on YouTube for Angry Birds. The animation looks pretty good.
the animation looks okay.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, honestly.
I don't know. Listen, I like to think that I'm usually very generous with movies. That's because I am, especially with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But this movie, I just don't know about this one. I really don't.
I feel like this movie is harmless. Like, if it's bad, like, oh well. We still have Warcraft coming out this Friday. But it's not like I'm depending on this movie to save my faith for video game movies, because that's on Warcraft. If Warcraft's bad, I'm not even going to bother seeing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But if Angry Birds is bad, I'd be like, yeah, I kind of figured. But hey, it could surprise the hell out of me. Movies have done that before, and anything's possible.
What was like the most surprised movie that you thought was going to be awful, but it was actually really good? If you can think of one.
I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind is Ant-Man. Like, I didn't think the movie would be awful, but it, like, surprised me with how good it was.
Yeah. I have two movies. One is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I felt like that movie would have been great.
I thought it was going to be awful, honestly. And then I was so surprised when I saw it. Not in theaters, but on DVD. And then the other movie was, it was a Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Darkness, where you like live, die, repeat, or whatever.
You liked that movie?
I liked it.
I did not.
I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was going to be good, but I enjoyed it.
To each their own.
See, I'm really generous with movies.
Except for, of course, Fan Four Stick.
Oh, God. Of course not.
But we'll see you all in a bit after we get all 3 stars in every Angry Birds level. And we'll let you know what this movie's is.
Peace.
See you then. Well, pluck my life. I'm a bird, and I make bird puns.
This movie is filled with like random adult jokes that kids won't get.
I was like legitimately surprised, like with some of the jokes in this movie, especially at the beginning.
I missed the beginning, by the way.
Yeah, he missed the beginning. It pretty much starts out like this whole montage of him getting angry and like why he's angry, and I guess this little baby bird imprinted on him and starts calling him Dada and Daddy and stuff. So the parents are suing him because now the bird thinks that Red is the dad of it. You know, how little birds do.
Well, no wonder he's pissed. I mean, I would be too.
Yeah, he gets bullied because he doesn't.
He
have
does,
parents.
like, because he doesn't have parents, because he has no friends either.
He's like, holy shit.
And he like looks up to this like almighty eagle who I guess they think doesn't exist or whatever, which we'll talk about later. But
yeah, some of these adult jokes were so not subtle. He looks at like this line of little chicks and he's like, he looks at the mom, he's like, have you ever considered bird control? And I'm like, oh my god.
that's kind of funny.
Like, as much as I want to talk shit about this movie, there are legitimately some bright spots in it that I was laughing.
Like, it's not a good movie, but it has some like moments that make you go like, oh, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a fun movie, and like, I expected this to be so much worse than it was.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like, there's especially one part where there's this like bird throughout the whole movie that like wants hugs. Like
he's like giving free hugs and no one's hugging him, so he looks sad. And then like when the pigs show up and like steal
all the eggs.
Steal all the eggs, like he has his arms out and he's like,
or he's like, who does that? Who would steal eggs or like steal kids or whatever?
And
well, you look like you would steal kids. And he's like got that pedo smile too, which made it even better.
There's references to other better movies that, like, just like Madagascar, you're watching that and you're like, huh, I could be watching The Shining right now.
The Shining, or with some other references. X-Men, Days of Future Past, Quicksilver.
There's like a straight stolen Quicksilver scene with the fast yellow bird,
who was
Chuck.
annoying as well.
He was pretty annoying, but like he wasn't like, he was like a discount Sonic the Hedgehog, like in this movie. It's a dumb movie, like, don't get me wrong, you can take your kid to see it and they'll love the crap out of it, but it's not a good movie.
It's really not. I mean, it's better than a lot of other video game movies, for sure.
It's definitely better than Ratchet and Clank, much better than Norm of the North. I think this is just like an okay animated film for 2016. Like,
yeah.
Zootopia, I think, will still be the best animated movie. That's definitely still the best animated movie I've seen in theaters, other than Finding Nemo, which I saw when I was like, what, 5?
I did too.
Yeah, I saw it with my daddy.
So did I.
Finding Dory's gonna be great. Getting back on track.
On track.
Personalities of the birds, I thought, were pretty well done, and the animation in this movie was like surprisingly well. Like,
I'll give it that, you know. Some of the positives, like I said, some of the jokes were
really
dumb.
Funny. They were, there's a lot of jokes in this movie that are really dumb, and you're like, ugh.
Like, I think the writers were on crack or drugs or something to...
It's like as bad as like the literal puns in Catwoman, I thought. Because it's like bird, and he's like, I need a bunch of big, flocking, angry birds. I'm like, oh, haha, you can't say fuck!
Yeah, or pluck my life.
Yeah, pluck my life. Well, I'm telling you, there are jokes that are really funny, and there's one in particular that should be dumb, but like, it's the scene where the Mighty Eagle's peeing in the Lake of Wisdom.
I didn't think that was funny.
Like, it was like, oh, really, a pee joke, and then it just kept going on, and you're like, it was just because it happened so long.
Yeah, like, I thought, like, 2 jokes, mostly one was the P one, they just kept dragging on too long, and the other one was like, when the Bomb and Chuck or whatever were doing like those calls or whatever that the eagle would do. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that
I
joke.
felt that like dragged on way too long until
Mhm.
he just finally was like, "Shut up!" But
Yeah, honestly, this movie's like not too long, but I think those sort of moments really bog it down, and it gets kind of boring, to be honest. But anything else that we liked in this movie?
I mean,
Jason Sudeikis did fine. I
Yeah.
think all the voice actors did fine for what they needed to be.
I feel okay. I'll list some of the things that I liked. Some of the jokes, most of them were awful, but a few jokes sprinkled here and there were decent. The animation was pretty good. I like Jason Sudeikis. I think he played a fine role in this movie, and that's kind of it. And I feel like the creators, like the writers, director, whatever, I think they put in some effort, at least a little bit.
Yeah, because it would have been really easy to be able to make this movie and be like, oh, they're just Angry Birds. Look at Angry Birds. Come see my movie. Thanks for your money.
Yeah.
But
like they tried for what they.
yeah, I think this was the best thing that they could have done for an Angry Birds movie, like a
Right.
game based off of a mobile app. But
That's pretty much it.
that doesn't really justify the stupidity in this movie. But I think one other thing I like, it's like surprisingly entertaining near the end when you finally get that Angry Birds versus Pigs like classic battles sort of thing from the app, and I'm like,
That was okay.
but that's a nice little segue into my negatives, because that took way too long to get to in this movie. Because if you're going to have a movie about Angry Birds, you know, you could spend like 30, maybe 40 minutes like setting up, you know, the birds and the pigs hating each other. Most of the movie, they're friends. And then like near the very end, the switch turns, and then they steal the eggs, and then they are at war. But honestly, there's really nothing to spoil in this movie, because if you know Angry Birds, or if you're like a person, you know what this movie is going to be. You know how it's going to play out whenever. There's no surprises really in this movie other than like adult jokes.
Yeah, or like. Yeah, pretty much it. Just adult jokes.
But I will give it credit. When it's finally like they're using the slingshot to attack the pig's castle, it's surprisingly entertaining how like each bird has like the abilities in the app. I thought that was really well done. I just wish it would have been more of the movie. Like there would have been multiple like battles, but it's just
Instead of like just having it at the climax, they had it like sprinkled throughout the movie. Basically.
yeah, you could have had it as a big montage, and that'd have helped the movie a lot, like a lot. But no, we have to sacrifice that for 5-minute long like screeches, you know, that overused joke in the movie. And kids will love the shit out of this movie, but I think the pacing too in this movie could really be better. Like everything just happens. Everything is a segue to something else. No events really happen until the very end of the movie. There's like one time where the pigs show up to the bird island and destroy Red's house. That's really the only event in this movie. Everything else is just a segue to get Red to hate the pigs, or to justify Red hating the pigs.
Or just random scenes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to put a spoiler section in this video, because if you've seen anything to do with Angry Birds, you know what this movie is going to be.
And if you're mad that we spoiled something from this movie, you need to rethink your life.
Yeah, honestly, get over it. Like, because if you take to heart what I'm going to say, you probably won't ever see this in theaters, and you might look for it on Netflix, like at best, because it's honestly not worth like the money to check out. Plain as can be. It's not bad, but there's definitely movies in theaters. Like I know Zootopia is still in theaters here.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's still in theaters here, and that movie's so much better quality. Like, I'm serious, and it's a movie you can watch over and over and over again, and it's just a great time. This movie is not.
Not really. And it sucks because I really think that video game movies can be really great, but
It's surprising, but like it wasn't like. I think it was one of the better video game movies, and
yeah,
I'm like,
it's better, but not good enough.
yeah, this is where I'm holding out Warcraft's hope for, because Warcraft needs to be the movie that really turns it around for video game movies, because if Warcraft is not good, I'm just gonna be done with them. Like, I'm tired, especially with Ratchet and Clank. That was a big Debbie on my heart, because I love Ratchet and Clank, and to see that movie so bad was heartbreaking. You know, with a movie like Angry Birds, you can kind of just sweep it under the rug, like, oh, it's fucking Angry Birds, no one cares. But when it's like something as beloved as Ratchet and Clank or Warcraft, you can't fuck that up.
No.
And if you do, you're gonna have consequences. Like, the entire genre is going to have consequences. With that being said, I think I've talked about this movie enough. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because I feel like it wasn't a solid movie, but it wasn't a bad movie, and it passes.
I'm going with a 5 out of 10.
So, with a consensus score of 5.5 out of 10, we meet in the middle. We get an ugly orgasm. And it's the sort of orgasm that you will not deny having in bed, because an orgasm is an orgasm. And this is a movie that, if you see it, you won't think good or bad of it. Just like an orgasm.
Okay.
Alright. Thanks. Catch you
Bye.
next time.
See ya.